Hey everyone, Sarah here. Rewind Justice brings you revenge stories that will blow your mind. If you're ready, hit subscribe and let's go.
My brother Marcus became a lawyer because Dad decided he would be. I became invisible because Dad decided I already was. Marcus got a 98 on his practice LE. Mom announced at dinner when I was 16 and Marcus was 19. Harvard's going to love him. I'd gotten a 1580 on my SAT that same week. Nobody asked. That's amazing, Marcus, I said, and I meant it. My brother was brilliant. He deserved every opportunity coming his way. What about you, Alex? Marcus asked, actually looking at me. How'd your SAT go? Before I could answer, Dad cut in. Alex doesn't need to worry about all that. Not everyone's cut out for professional school. I was 16. I hadn't even applied to colleges yet. That was the pattern. Marcus achieved, parents celebrated, I existed in the margins. When Marcus got into Harvard Law, they threw a party with 200 guests. When I got into MIT 3 years later, Mom said, "That's nice, honey. Can you pick up Marcus from the airport? His flight lands at 6. I picked him up. I always did what they asked. During college, the divide grew wider. Marcus sent photos from Harvard, crew team, law review, networking events with federal judges. I sent nothing from MIT. Not because I wasn't doing well. Because nobody asked. My senior year, I built an algorithm that optimized legal document analysis. Reduced contract review time by 73%. My computer science professor called it genuinely innovative. I called it something Marcus might find useful someday. I was already thinking that way. How can I help? How can I make myself valuable? How can I earn the space I take up in this family? Pathetic looking back. But that's what scapegoat children do. We try to prove we deserve to exist. Marcus opened Chin and Associates 6 months after passing the bar. Corporate law, mid-sized firm, 3 partners including him. Dad invested $50,000. Mom's brother invested another $30,000. They never asked me. I just sold my legal tech startup to LexisNexis for $8.2 million. I was 25 years old and I'd built something real. Something valuable. My family knew I'd sold some computer thing. They thought I'd gotten maybe $100,000. I never corrected them. The week Marcus's firm opened, I got a call from his senior partner, Richard Chin. Alex, Richard Chin, I'm partnering with your brother on this new firm. He speaks very highly of you. Marcus had never mentioned me to anyone, but I stayed quiet. We're looking for additional capital, Richard continued. Silent partners. People who believe in what we're building. Your brother mentioned you work in tech. Any interest in diversifying? I thought about it for exactly 4 seconds. How much are you looking for? We need $2.5 million to properly capitalize. We have $1.2 million committed. Looking for the rest. I'll wire you $3.8 million, I said. But I have 3 conditions. Name them. 1. My investment is completely anonymous. Marcus never knows. Your other partners never know. Silent means silent. Agreed. 2. If Marcus ever asks you directly whether I'm an investor, you tell him the truth. But unless he asks, you say nothing. Understood. 3. Standard equity position. I'm not doing this as charity. This is business. You'll have 34% equity. Full partnership rights if you ever choose to exercise them. I wired the money that afternoon. Why? God, I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. Was it love? Was it hope that maybe this would create some bridge between us? Was it the scapegoat in me still trying to earn my place? Probably all 3. But I made it a real investment. Real equity. Real partnership agreement. Because even then, some part of me knew that this family took and I needed legal protection. I never told them. Not Mom, not Dad, not Marcus. Chin and Associates grew fast. Marcus was a brilliant lawyer. I'll give him that. Within 3 years, they'd expanded to 15 attorneys, then 30. Corporate mergers, contract negotiations, securities law. They became one of the top mid-sized firms in the city. Marcus bought a Tesla. Then a downtown condo. Then a weekend house in the mountains. At every family dinner, I heard about his success. The firm billed $4.2 million this quarter, Marcus announced at Thanksgiving. We're expanding to a second office. That's my boy, Dad beamed. Built from nothing. Pure determination. Pure determination and my $3.8 million, I thought. But I smiled and said, "Congrats, Marcus. That's incredible. What about you, Alex?" Mom asked, not really interested. "Still doing your computer thing?" "Yeah, still doing tech work." "Well, maybe Marcus can give you some career advice," Dad suggested. "Show you how to really build something." I was running 3 startups at that point. My net worth was $47 million. I nodded. "That'd be great, Dad." The more successful Marcus became, the more contempt he showed me. At his 30th birthday party, "Alex, you're what, 27? Still haven't figured out a real career path." At Christmas, "Mom, Alex can't understand business strategy. He's more of a technical guy." At Dad's retirement dinner, "My firm's revenue puts me in the top 5% of earners under 35. Alex, what's your income level?" "Comfortable. I made $3.7 million that year between salary, equity liquidations, and investment returns." I told him, "I'm doing okay." Each dismissal stung less. I was building something they couldn't see, didn't value, would never understand. My wealth management firm. My venture portfolio. My real estate holdings. I started having breakfast every other Wednesday with Richard Chin. Not as an investor checking on his investment, as friends. He knew my secret. He respected it. "Your brother's a brilliant attorney," Richard told me over coffee one morning. "But Alex, between you and me, your capital saved this firm. That first expansion. Your money. The second office. Your backing. Marcus thinks it was all careful planning and bank loans. Really, it was your $3.8 million giving us the foundation to grow." "He doesn't need to know." "Why not? You're his brother. You gave him this opportunity. Because he didn't ask for my help. He didn't want it. He wanted to build something himself. I just made sure he could." Richard shook his head. "You're more generous than I'd be. Or more pathetic." "No," Richard said firmly. "More strategic. You're watching. Waiting. Building your own empire while staying invisible. I see what you're doing, Alex. It's smart." I wasn't sure it was smart. But it was survival. Chin and Associates' 10th anniversary party was a black-tie affair at the Four Seasons. 200 guests, clients, judges, city council members, business leaders. The firm had grown to 45 attorneys. Annual revenue, $18.3 million. Marcus was radiant. Custom tuxedo Patek Philippe watch, confidence rolling off him in waves. I wore a rental suit. I came alone. I stood near the back. Mom found me by the bar. "Alex, honey, try to mingle. There are important people here. Maybe you can make some professional connections." "I'm fine, Mom. Just don't embarrass Marcus, okay? This is his night." I was the silent partner who'd made this night possible. But I nodded. "I won't." The speeches started. Richard spoke about vision and determination. The mayor sent a video message. Dad gave a toast about my son, who built something from nothing with just his brilliance and work ethic. Then Marcus took the microphone. 10 years ago I had a dream," he began. "Build a firm that stood for excellence, integrity, and results. But dreams don't build themselves. They require sacrifice, vision, and the courage to stand alone when necessary." I felt it coming. That familiar tightness in my chest. "I've been blessed with supporters," Marcus continued. "My partners Richard and David, who believed in me. My parents, who invested in my dream when I had nothing but ambition. And I've learned that success means surrounding yourself with people who add value." He paused. Looked directly at me. "Which is why I've also learned to recognize those who don't. Family isn't always your biggest asset. Sometimes family is dead weight." The room got quiet. People followed his gaze to me. "My little brother Alex is here tonight," Marcus said, gesturing toward me. "And I want to say something publicly that I've thought privately for years. Alex, you're the family leech. You've contributed nothing while I built this success. You've coasted on the family name, on Mom and Dad's accomplishments, on my reputation. You're 32 years old with no real career, no real ambitions, no real future." His partners laughed. Not mean laughter. More like uncomfortable agreement. "I say this with love," Marcus added, though his smile was razor-sharp. "But maybe it's time to stop showing up to events celebrating accomplishments you had no part in creating. Maybe it's time to actually build something instead of floating through life on other people's efforts." The room held its breath. Every eye on me. Mom touched my arm. Alex, he's just joking. You know how Marcus is. But Marcus wasn't joking. His eyes were cold, certain, dismissive. This was the moment. 10 years of silent support. $3.8 million that built his foundation. 32 years of being invisible, diminished, erased. I smiled. Pulled out my phone. Walked toward the balcony while Marcus continued his speech. I opened my email to Richard Chin. Typed 9 words. Dissolve silent partnership in Chin and Associates. Withdraw $3.8 million immediately. Then I typed a second email to my attorney. Exercise all partnership rights under Section 7.3. Full equity dissolution. Timeline, immediate. I hit send on both. Walked back inside. Grabbed a champagne flute. Stood quietly near the back. Marcus was wrapping up his speech. So here's to 10 more years of growth, excellence, and surrounding ourselves with people who actually contribute. Everyone cheered. Richard's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. Went pale. Looked at me across the room. I raised my glass slightly. Smiled. Richard excused himself. Left the ballroom. Marcus didn't notice. He was accepting congratulations, shaking hands, basking in applause. 3 minutes later, Richard rushed back in. Went straight to Marcus. Whispered urgently in his ear. I watched Marcus's face change. Confusion. Then something close to panic. He looked at Richard. What do you mean, silent partner? Richard's response was too quiet for me to hear. But I saw him gesture toward the balcony. Toward his phone. Toward legal documents. Marcus pulled out his own phone. Started scrolling frantically. The party continued around him. People laughing, drinking, celebrating. But Marcus stood frozen, reading something on his screen that was destroying his perfect night. Richard approached me carefully. Alex, can we talk? Privately. Of course, Richard. We stepped onto the balcony. The city lights sparkled below us. You're serious, Richard said. You're actually dissolving. Completely serious. Alex, your $3.8 million has grown to a 34% equity position worth approximately $6.2 million with current valuations. If you force a dissolution, the partnership agreement requires we liquidate assets to buy you out within 90 days. That will cripple us. We'll have to sell the second office, probably lay off 15 attorneys, pull back from the expansion we've planned. I understand. Does Marcus know you're the silent partner? Not yet. But he's reading the partnership agreement right now, isn't he? Richard nodded. He's seeing your name for the first time. Good. Alex, he's your brother. Richard, you're my friend. You've been honest with me for 10 years. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not doing this to hurt the firm. I'm doing this because I'm done being invisible. I'm done being dismissed. I'm done funding my own humiliation. I understand. I do. But can we talk about alternatives? Maybe a partial dissolution? Maybe. Richard, I wired you $3.8 million 10 years ago to help Marcus build his dream. Not because I wanted equity. Not because I wanted returns. Because he's my brother and I believed in him. And for 10 years, I've watched him succeed on a foundation I provided while treating me like garbage. Tonight he called me a leech. In front of 200 people. While standing in a firm that wouldn't exist without my money. Richard closed his eyes. Christ, Alex. I'm sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. You've been nothing but professional and kind. But my investment ends tonight. 90 days to settle. Marcus burst onto the balcony. What the hell is this? He shoved his phone in my face. Richard, tell me this is wrong. Tell me Alex isn't listed as a founding partner. I can't tell you that, Marcus. Because it's true. You. Marcus turned to me. You invested in my firm? Yes. When? 10 years ago. Opening day. How much? $3.8 million. The number hung in the air like a grenade. That's impossible, Marcus said. You don't have that kind of money. He stopped. Recalibrated. Where did you get $3.8 million? I sold my first startup to LexisNexis when I was 25. For $8.2 million. Your startup. Legal document analysis software. The algorithm I built at MIT. The one I mentioned at Thanksgiving that year but nobody asked about. Marcus looked between Richard and me. Why didn't you tell me? You never asked. And I wanted you to build something yourself. I just provided the capital to make it possible. So this whole time you've been what? My secret investor? Watching me. Judging me. Supporting you, Marcus. That's what I've been doing. Supporting you. Then why are you pulling out now? His voice was rising. Why are you destroying my firm? I'm not destroying anything. I'm exercising my legal right to dissolve my partnership position. You'll buy me out. You'll move forward. But not with my money. Not anymore. Because of what I said in there. I was joking, Alex. It was just. It wasn't a joke. You meant every word. And honestly, you've been saying versions of that my entire life. Tonight you just said it publicly. Richard stepped forward. Marcus, we need to talk about the financial implications. If Alex exercises full dissolution. How much? Marcus interrupted. How much to make you stay? I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. He was terrified. Not hurt. Not sorry. Terrified of losing his firm, his reputation, his perfect life. There's no amount, Marcus. I'm done being the invisible support system for people who treat me like I'm worthless. Alex, please. I'll apologize. In front of everyone. I'll tell them you're a major investor. You'll what? Finally acknowledge I exist? Give me a seat at the table I literally bought? No thanks. I walked back inside. Marcus and Richard followed. The party was still going strong. Nobody knew the bomb that had just gone off. I found Mom and Dad by the dessert table. I'm heading out, I told them. Already? Mom frowned. Alex, don't be sensitive about Marcus's speech. He was just being playful. I'm not being sensitive, Mom. I'm being decisive. I'm dissolving my $3.8 million investment in Marcus's firm. Effective immediately. Dad laughed. You're what? I'm the silent partner who capitalized Chin and Associates 10 years ago. I own 34% equity. Current value approximately $6.2 million. I'm forcing a full buyout. 90 days. The color drained from Dad's face. You gave Marcus $3.8 million? Yes. When? How? The week his firm opened. I just sold my startup for $8.2 million. I invested almost half of it in Marcus's dream. Mom grabbed my arm. Alex, you can't pull that money now. You'll ruin him. I'm not ruining anyone. I'm withdrawing my support. There's a difference. Why would you do this? Dad's voice was sharp. What kind of brother? The kind who's been funding his brother's success for a decade while being called a leech. The kind who built a $47 million net worth while his family treated him like a failure. The kind who's finally done being invisible. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just stated facts and walked toward the exit. Marcus caught up with me in the lobby. Alex, wait. Please. Can we just talk about this? We've been talking my whole life, Marcus. You just never listened. I didn't know. About the money, about your success, about any of it. How could I know if you never told me? You never asked. Not once. Not about MIT, not about my startups, not about my life. You assumed I was nothing and you treated me like nothing, and tonight you announced it to 200 people. So you're going to destroy my firm over a speech? I'm not destroying anything. Your firm will survive. Richard's brilliant. Your other partners are solid. You'll figure it out. Just without my money. We'll lose the expansion. The second office. God, we might lose half our staff. Then you'll rebuild. With your brilliance and work ethic. Isn't that what Dad's toast said? That you built this from nothing. The Valley brought my car around. A Tesla Model S. Bought with money from my third startup sale. Marcus stared at it. That's your car. One of them. How many do you have? Why does it matter? Because I've spent 10 years thinking you were barely surviving and apparently you're, what? Rich. Comfortable. I got in my car. Started the engine. Marcus knocked on my window. I lowered it. I'm sorry, he said. For tonight. For all of it. If I'd known. You would have what, Marcus? Treated me differently because I had money? That's not the apology you think it is. I drove away. Didn't look back. The next 72 hours were chaos I watched from a distance. Richard called twice. Marcus called 17 times. Mom called crying. Dad called threatening legal action, which was hilarious, given Marcus would have to sue his own firm. I didn't answer. My attorney handled everything. Partnership agreement was airtight. I'd made sure of that 10 years ago. Dissolution clause was clear. 90 days to buy out any partner requesting exit. Valuation based on independent assessment. No negotiation. The independent assessor valued my 34% equity position at $6.4 million. Chin and Associates had 90 days to pay me $6.4 million or liquidate assets to cover it. They had $1.8 million in liquid capital. The math was brutal. Week 2, Richard sent an email. Alex, please call me. We're willing to offer extended payment terms. 5-year buyout. Fair interest. You keep silent partner status. Marcus wants to apologize publicly. I replied, standard terms. 90 days. No exceptions. Week 4, Mom showed up at my office. I'd never told her where I worked. She'd hired someone to find me. My assistant tried to stop her, but I waved her through. Alex, please. You're destroying your brother. No, Mom. I'm withdrawing my support. Marcus is destroying himself. He made a mistake. One speech. Are you really going to ruin his life over one mistake? It wasn't one mistake. It was 32 years of mistakes. The speech was just the only one other people witnessed. We didn't know you had money. How could we treat you like a success when you never told us? Mom, you never asked. Not about MIT, not about my career, not about my life. You assumed I was failing and you were fine with that. Comfortable with it. Because it made Marcus look better. He started crying. What do you want from us? Nothing. That's the point. I don't want your approval anymore. I don't need your recognition. I'm done competing for space in a family that never had room for me. You're still our son. Then treat me like it. But not because I have money. Because I'm your child who deserved better than being invisible. She left. I went back to work. Week 8, the announcement went public. Chin and Associates was selling their second office. Laying off 12 attorneys. Canceling their expansion plans. All to raise capital for a partnership restructuring. Marcus's reputation took a hit. Legal blogs speculated about mismanagement, hidden debts, poor planning. None of them knew the truth. That the firm's foundation was crumbling because the invisible partner was leaving. Week 12, Richard called from a blocked number. I answered. Alex, we have your $6.4 million. Took every reserve, every credit line and the sale of the second office. But we have it. Wire it to my attorney's trust account. He'll release the equity transfer documents. This destroys 10 years of friendship, you know. No, Richard. This preserves it. Because you're the only one who ever saw me. The only one who treated this as what it was. A real partnership. I'm not angry at you. I'm grateful. Then why are you leaving? Because I can't be silent anymore. And staying silent was the only way to stay. The wire transfer came through on day 89. My attorney confirmed receipt. Sent the final dissolution documents. I was no longer a partner in Chin and Associates. I was just Alex. With $6.4 million more in my account and one less anchor around my neck. 3 months after the dissolution, Marcus showed up at my house. I'd never told him where I lived. But he found me anyway. I answered the door. He looked terrible, exhausted, thinner, older. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He walked through my house slowly, taking in the details. The art. The furniture. The view of the city from floor-to-ceiling windows. How much did this place cost? He asked. Does it matter? I guess not. He sat on my couch. The firm's going to survive. Barely. We lost 15 attorneys total. Pulled back from 3 major client pitches. But we'll rebuild. Good. Took me 3 months to stop being angry. To stop thinking you betrayed me. I didn't betray you, Marcus. I know. I know that now. You gave me everything and I gave you nothing. Not even basic respect. I sat across from him. Said nothing. I talked to Richard, Marcus continued. Really talked to him. He told me things I didn't know. About our Wednesday breakfasts. About how you checked in on the firm's health. About how your $3.8 million saved us 3 times when we were overextended. You weren't just a silent partner. You were our safety net. I was your brother. That's what I was supposed to be. And I was supposed to be yours. But I wasn't. I was Dad's golden child and I liked it too much to notice what it cost you. He pulled out an envelope. I'm not here to ask you to reinvest. I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to give you this. Inside was a check for $2.1 million. What is this? Your share of firm profits over the past 10 years. Richard helped me calculate it. You owned 34% equity. You should have received 34% of distributions. We never paid you because it was silent, but you earned it. This is yours. I looked at the check. Looked at my brother. I don't want this, Marcus. I know. But you earned it. And I need you to take it. Because I need to know that I'm paying my debts. That I'm not the person who takes and gives nothing back. You're not that person. I was. For 32 years I was. We sat in silence. Two brothers who'd lived in the same family but different worlds. I can't go back to being invisible, I finally said. If we're going to have a relationship, it has to be real. I exist. I'm successful. I'm proud of what I've built. And I need you to see that. I see it now. I'm sorry it took losing you to open my eyes. I'm not sure we lost each other, Marcus. I think we never had each other to begin with. Can we try to actually be brothers? I thought about it. Really thought about it. On one condition. Anything. Next family dinner you tell them. All of it. The investment, the dissolution, who I actually am. No more hiding. No more protecting their illusion of you as the self-made success. Marcus flinched. But nodded. Deal. 2 weeks later we sat around Mom and Dad's table. The four of us. Like 100 dinners before. Except this time, everything was different. I have something to tell you, Marcus began. About the firm. About Alex. About the last 10 years. He told them everything. The $3.8 million investment. The silent partnership. The dissolution. The real cost of his anniversary speech. Mom cried. Dad sat in stunned silence. Why didn't you tell us? Mom finally asked me. About your success. About the money. Biz, you never asked. And when Marcus succeeded, you celebrated. When I succeeded, you didn't notice. So I stopped trying to be noticed. We're your parents, Dad said. We should have. He stopped. Started again. I made you invisible because it was easier than admitting I had 2 successful sons. Because Marcus fit the image I wanted and you didn't. It was the first honest thing my father had ever said to me. I'm sorry, Dad continued. For all of it. For every dismissal, every assumption, every time I made you feel like you weren't enough. I'm sorry too, Mom added. I knew we were treating you differently. I told myself it was because Marcus needed more support, more attention. But really, I just didn't know how to celebrate a son who succeeded differently than I expected. I didn't forgive them. Not yet. Forgiveness takes time. But I heard them. Really heard them. I'm not asking for the past to change, I said. It happened. We all lived it. But I'm asking for the future to be different. I exist. My success is real. And I need you to see me. Actually see me. We see you now, Marcus said quietly. And I'm sorry it took almost losing you completely. We talked for 3 hours. About MIT, about my startups, about the companies I'd built. For the first time in 32 years my family asked about my life. Felt strange. Uncomfortable. Like learning a new language. But it was real. Chin and Associates is thriving again. Smaller than it was, more careful but profitable. Marcus is a better attorney and a better brother. We have lunch every Thursday. We talk about work, about life, about the past we're learning to navigate. I'm not a silent partner anymore. Not in his firm. Not in my family. I exist. Fully. Visibly. Unapologetically. My net worth is $127 million now. 3 successful exits, a venture portfolio, real estate holdings across 4 states. I'm exactly what Marcus called me a leech for being, except now he knows the truth. I didn't build my empire to prove anything to my family. I built it to prove something to myself, that I was worth more than their dismissal. And somewhere along the way I learned the most important lesson. You don't need your family to see you succeed. You just need to see it yourself. But it's nice when they finally catch up. Mom called yesterday. I'm telling my book club about your Forbes feature. Is that okay? It was more than okay. It was everything.